लक्षद्वीप की सुंदरता को शब्दों में समेटना बहुत मुश्किल है। जो लोग दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों के द्वीपों को देखने जाना चाहते हैं, वहां के समंदर से अभिभूत है, उनसे मेरा आग्रह है कि वो पहले लक्षद्वीप आकर जरूर देखें।
No one would have ever thought that color of a snorkeling jacket can trigger a Twitter war between two friendly Indian Ocean neighbors. India-Maldives Twitter war sows seeds of discord. It benefits none but only China. China that provokes Maldives like Pakistan to fight for its Islamic identity, while at the same time its repression of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang is well known. In short term, Maldives gain by giving space to China, while in long run, India loses and China wins. If Maldives gives in to China, as it seems to have, it will lose its identity and surrender its freedom. At Shylock, China's debt diplomacy has subsumed many nations as witnessed in recent past. The recent Twitter row between India and Maldives that led to suspension of 3 Maldivian ministers following a diplomatic row. It all started after Prime Minister Narendra Modi posted a video and pictures on his social media Twitter now known as X handle. While the pictures and video by Indian Prime Minister Modi ideally should not have drawn a reaction from Maldivian ministers, as nowhere in audio visuals or pictures Maldives was mentioned, but seems it was the color of the snorkeling jacket exposed the hidden communal hatred in the minds of Mariam Shiuna and wrote derogatory and unparliamentary words against Prime Minister Modi, who is passionately loved and followed by millions of Indians. The tweet, which was deleted hours after the controversy, laced with communal hatred, called Prime Minister Modi a clown and puppet of Israel over his visit to Lakshadweep, India's smallest union territory island. Mariam Shiona, now removed from his cabinet position, held deputy portfolio for Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Information and Art. She is also the spokesperson of Malé City Council. It was former Maldivian President Mohammad Nasheed who wrote on his Twitter handle, and I quote, "What appalling language by Maldives government official Mariam Shiona towards the leader of a key ally that is instrumental for Maldives' security and prosperity. Dr. Mohammad Muizzu government must distance itself from these comments and give clear assurance to India they do not reflect government policy," unquote. India has summoned the Maldivian ambassador and raised issues in stern warning for such derogatory remarks. Mariam Shiona, a close aide of Mohammad Muizzu, and 2 others tweet draw a backlash from Indians with repudiation, also unsubstantiated and unconfirmed cancellation of hotel bookings and flight cancellation by Indians in large numbers who wanted to visit Maldives. Maldives' economy is largely based on tourism. Mohammad Muizzu, President of the Maldives since 17th November 2023, is considered pro-China as he gave India out call during his election campaign. After assuming the charge of President of Maldives, Muizzu reiterated his India out policy even in bilateral meetings and urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to call back Indian troops from Maldivian soil. The Maldives' recent decision to terminate an agreement with India for joint hydrographic survey has been the subject of some controversy in the Indian media. Signed during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the island in 2019, the pact was seen as a symbol of India-Maldives defense ties. Malay's move came a few weeks after the island state formally asked New Delhi to withdraw its Indian military presence from its shores. As if to emphasize its reservation about defense engagement with India, Malé also escaped the latest meeting of the Colombo Security Conclave in December 2023. The President Muizzu visited Turkey last month, breaking a long tradition of Maldivian presidents visiting New Delhi first, a less than subtle signal that India ranks low in the new administration's foreign policy priorities. Addressing journalists on his return from his first visit to Turkey and United Arab Emirates, where he gone to take part in COP28 conference, Muizzu said that the Prime Minister Modi reacted favorably to his suggestion for New Delhi to take back 77 military personnel, including 2 technicians who were operating 3 aerial platforms, including 2 helicopters and 1 Dornier fixed-wing aircraft that were gifted for emergency evacuation and aerial surveillance of the Maldives ocean territory for drug smuggling and other criminal activities. Muizzu, sometimes called India out, sometimes India military out, did not ask India to take back the choppers and Dornier. This is unlike the original demand of his estranged political mentor and jailed former President Abdullah Yamin, who was later released. While in power, ahead of 2018 presidential polls that he lost, Yamin had begun by asking India to call back the pilots and technicians along with the platforms. While Maldives government and military itself recognized the contribution of the military personnel in emergency and medical evacuation against drug peddlers maintaining the aerial platforms, it is hard to understand how Maldives would run these platforms. The whole narrative is actually set to accommodate the Chinese interests. Since 2008, China is pushing commerce and policies for Maldives to fall in its fold. That eventually led Maldives to join Xi Jinping's dream project Maritime Silk Route in Indian Ocean, which is part of a larger Europe, Asia and Africa transnational Belt and Road initiative.
The fact that I'm here in China on my first state visit is testament to the commitment of His Excellency President Xi Jinping and the people of China to the Maldives. We have no doubt that China will be our closest partner in development. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the leadership of the Fujian Provincial People's Government and officials of Fuzhou for co-hosting this forum and for the excellent arrangements in making such a gathering possible. The fact that the first international business event that my government participates in is taking place in China reflects our long-standing and fruitful G2G and B2B cooperation. I'm delighted to witness the strong presence of both Chinese and Maldivian business here today. This shows that the close political ties that both our countries enjoy are replicated at the commercial level as well. The relationship between Maldives and China is one that has a long history dating back to the ancient maritime Silk Road. Having established diplomatic relationships in 1972, China remains one of our closest allies and development partner. Maldives became an early party to His Excellency President Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative in 2014, which has delivered the most significant infrastructure projects witnessed in the Maldivian history. The new vision for our central airport that I launched just few days before I arrived here and the commercial port project are key strategic initiatives of my government that are in alignment with the BRI vision of land, ocean, air and digital connectivity. The government is keen for exploring and taking partnership for these projects under the framework of Belt and Road Initiative.
China inaugurated its embassy in Male in 2011. During political turmoil in 2012, President Mohammad Nasheed had to step down. Beijing's commercial policies helped Abdullah Gayoom take center stage and got elected as president of Maldives. China, which considers Maldives as important string of pearls destination to counter its Malacca dilemma, a choke point for PRC in Indian Ocean in case of a conflict. China has already established its first overseas base in Djibouti in 2017. Now Maldives is at another end in Beijing's counter policy. Yamin committed to BRI in 2014 and signed a free trade agreement with China in 2017 to export Maldivian fish to China. The agreement after years failed to be ratified and experts questioning the rationale behind such an agreement between a $5 billion and staggering $17 trillion economies. While Chinese state-owned enterprises started to boo Maldives with the beginning of the infrastructure projects like China-Maldives Friendship Bridge, it is important to see how President Moizu's first state visit to China will unfold, climax of Maldives falling into Chinese debt trap through its debt diplomacy. According to Chinese government mouthpiece Global Times, President Moizu is on a state visit to China from January 8th to 12th. On day 1, President Moizu and the First Lady Sajida Mohammad visited the Xiamen Free Trade Zone in East China's Fujian province. During President Moizu's stay in China, President Xi will hold a welcome ceremony and banquet for President Moizu. The two heads of state will hold talks and attend the signing ceremony of cooperation documents. Chinese President Moizu, according to the Chinese Foreign Ministry, the cooperation documents are on infrastructure construction under the Belt and Road Initiative, economy, climate change, green economy and tourism. China and the Maldives will explore further potential of bilateral free trade agreement. China is showcasing Xiamen's developmental pattern for cities of the Maldives to attract tourists, highlighting Xiamen is a famous Chinese tourist spot. The dichotomy of Chinese cooperation is that it woos Maldives by projecting it as a famous tourist spot while pitching Maldives as a destination for Chinese tourists. President Muizu will also attend the Invest Maldives Forum in Fuzhou, the capital of Fujian province, a significant gateway to maritime Silk Road, China. He will meet senior Chinese business leaders to explore avenues for strengthening socio-economic relations between the Maldives and China. Muizu, a strong supporter of Chinese BRI, has overseen BRI projects that let him come close to China. In past, the expansion of upgrading of Velna International Airport in the capital city of Male and the China-Maldives Friendship Bridge, the first cross-sea bridge in the Maldives built by a Chinese company, would now see furtherance of other BRI projects. According to Global Times, President Muizu is actively promoting pragmatic cooperation as he has fully acknowledged the importance of cooperation with China and his diplomacy is out of Maldives' true interests not to choose sides. Global Times literally spit venoms against India and I quote, Long also noted that China respects the Maldives' sovereignty and does not interfere in its domestic affairs. Unlike India, China does not exclude other countries' cooperation with Maldives. On the contrary, China encourages and welcomes more countries, including India, to engage in collaboration with Maldives, unquote. Proximities of President Muizu to the Chinese government is deeply rooted in corruption. This was clearly visible when Muizu, the very next day of his winning the Maldives election, requested President Mohammad Soleh to release his predecessor Mohammad Abdullah Yameen, who was sentenced 11 years jail term in bribery and money laundering case related to Ara Babu Atoll projects. Yameen was accused of using his influence to transfer Ara on Babu Atoll under Tourism Ministry from the jurisdiction of Ministry of Fisheries and Agriculture. Abdullah Yameen, another Chinese stooge, was convicted by court for taking $1 million bribe. Abdullah Yameen was the president of Maldives between November 2013 to November 2018. China's Guangdong Vita Ocean and Maldivian company were awarded Babu Atoll, Coonawashi to develop a 5-star luxury resort with some 142 rooms. The Maldivian Tourism Ministry in May 2014 also signed an MOU with the state-owned China Machinery Engineering Corporation CMEC to develop Tha Atoll Fuala Fushi as a resort. President Abdullah Yameen visited China in August 2014 and secured a $16 million grant aid from China, which is expected to cover the cost partly of the Male Hulhule Bridge and other projects. China also provided emergency aid in December 2014 when Male's sewage treatment plant suffered a fire, leaving some 1 lakh people without access to safe drinking water. It sent nearly 700 tons of fresh water and a Chinese Navy submarine rescue ship named Changxing, which could produce over 70 tons of desalted water every day. Despite conviction, former President Abdullah Yameen and his half-brother and former dictator are now free and pursuing active politics in Maldives. It is China's tactics to bribe officials and cover the footprints while having enough evidence and proof of bribery at its disposal to blackmail the people it bribed earlier. All this is arm twisting tactics is for its advantage, which makes the bribed person a scapegoat at its will in order to pursue its geopolitical aim. So attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi for visiting Lakshadweep is a larger geopolitical game plan of China, Pakistan and Maldives government. What do you say about Maldives' diplomatic actions? Do write your feedback in the comment box. Thanks for watching and listening. National Defense, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.